for joining our session of the Labor Market Forum on Immigration with the topic Adaptation and Innovation, Engaging New Canadians as a Crucial Driver in Tourism Recovery and Long-Term Growth. My name is Olu Dotunadigun. You can call me Olu. I am a project program manager with Tourism HR Canada. The topic is divided into two sections, which I'll be taking the first section, and my colleague Jasmine will be taking the second section. I'll be speaking on Destination Employment Program, its successes and challenges. You can send us your questions in the chat section. We'll be happy to respond to them as fast as we can. Should we run out of time, we'll do a compilation of the questions and send responses to your registered emails. The need and urgency to tackle labor shortages in the hospitality industry became paramount as demand by industry stakeholders increased each passing year. As an introduction, I would like to show us how the accommodation industry has fared in employment in the last 3 years, that is 2018 to 2020. From the data shown, in 2018, there was a total job of 187,200 in the accommodations industry. In 2019, 188,500, and in 2020, 132,200 jobs. We can see that there was an increase of 1,300 jobs in the industry between 2018 and 2019. However, between 2019 and 2020, the industry lost 56,300 jobs. The accommodation industry remains the hardest hit in the tourism sector since the pandemic started. I will briefly take us through what the program is and what it has designed and what it was designed to achieve. Destination Employment is a 3-year pan-Canadian initiative which commenced in 2018. The project was designed with the aim of employing unemployed and underemployed newcomers in sustainable, well-paid long-term hotel jobs. Destination employment started off in 5 regions in the following provinces: in the Yukon, in Alberta, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and Nova Scotia. The 4 key goals of destination employment include to contribute to the increase of good-paying, sustainable jobs for new Canadians. This way, we'll be creating a tourism-specific immigration pathway and at the same time, prioritize the tourism sector in order to address labor shortages. The second key goal is to test a sustainable, systemic, and scalable model. The intention here is to tap into the immigration workforce well suited to hotel jobs, reinforce value proposition to all stakeholders in the value chain. To improve human capital practices, we envisaged that we were going to develop tools, resources, and provide support to help employers work with an increasingly diverse workforce. And finally, to strengthen partnership and build capacity through improved coordination and influence. Importantly, strengthening existing and forming new alliances and ensuring our communities' services are better aligned for the overall good of new Canadians. Destination employment is currently in its final year of funding, and we thought it would be important to highlight what we have been able to achieve with the program in the last 3 years. With regards to the program participation and involvement, we reached a good number of new Canadians who were given information about the program. A total of 1,531 new Canadians participated in information sessions across the 5 regions. In COVID-19 times, a lot of these information sessions moved from in-person to be delivered online. Of the 1,531 new Canadians that participated in the information sessions, 922 were females, representing 60% of attendees, 527 males, representing 34%, and 82 preferred not to share their gender, which also represented 6%. In addition, 621 new Canadians registered to participate in the program, with 559 participants taking the skills and needs assessment. This represents 90% of new Canadians that registered for the program. 526 new Canadians went through the language training, and so far, 54% of this number have been employed. Please note that due to the pandemic, some participants have lost their jobs and have also been recalled by their former employers. In the area of training and professional development, the program aims to provide language training, job-specific skills training, and mentorship training. For the most part, language training was provided by regional delivery partners through their local settlement service provider organizations. Job-specific language skills and general soft skills components were used for the training. To also support newcomers, online language tools for beginners and advanced learners were purchased to complement the language training provided by SPOs, that's the provider organizations. In relation to pre-employment training, several resources were adopted for use across the regions. CHRC's e-merit products, the Canadian Workplace Essentials, and the Workplace Essentials were used, and in some cases, adapted to develop training curriculum for newcomers. As a result of COVID-19, in-person training was cancelled and converted to online delivery. In the wake of the pandemic, CHRC gave free access to e-merit products to help newcomers develop their skills through self-directed learning. As the situation progressively improved, partners delivered blended trainings adhering to regional COVID-19 protocols. Other resources available to support pre-employment training are the Hospitality Essentials, which is a free resource, and pre-employment hospitality training videos translated to French, Tagalog, and Arabic. Those are also available free. Mentorship resources were also developed by the program team at the national level. Regional partners tailor these resources for their use in their respective regions. The outcome of the training and professional development in the 3-year time frame of destination employment can be categorized into competence, competitiveness, and capacity. Participants have achieved competence with the use of varied training resources. The use of technology has contributed to building competency, especially in the year 3 of the program. The idea of the on-the-job learning and work placements has also developed the competence of new Canadians. Program graduates have become competitive in the job market through the employability and transferable skills acquired in the program. The idea of training transferable skills became imperative as we progressed in the program to ensure that graduates could gain employment in related sectors during the pandemic. With the introduction of the mentorship training, new Canadians had the opportunity of having personalized guidance from existing employees who have experience in their fields. I'll go on to share some of the partnership and collaborations that we have actually formed in the course of the program. The program formed partnerships and continued to maintain existing ones. A total of 151 formal and informal partnerships were built with service provider organizations during the course of the program. We achieved great success partnering with hotels in the regions where destination employment was delivered. As we progressed in the program, the interest increased with employers, and in total, we had 94 hotel properties sign on to the program. We have also seen collaborations with regional delivery partners, especially in the areas of sharing ideas and lessons of what worked in specific regions. As we will all agree, no two regions are the same. However, it was important that partners learn from each other to determine the delivery model that best worked for them. Resources developed regionally were also available for use by partners in other regions. CHRC also reached out to some SDI recipients with similar programming activities where we explored areas of collaborations and learn about their program offerings. It was a great learning experience to share challenges and successes. In the area of communication, CHRC worked closely with the Hotel Association of Canada to design a communication strategy and build communication materials for the advertisement and marketing of destination employment. During the 3-year period of the program, HAC also works closely with regional delivery partners to harmonize and cascade plans from the national down to the regions. So far, HAC has completed a total of 7 case study videos across 4 regions, 2 in Ontario, 2 in Saskatchewan, 2 in the Yukon, and 1 in Atlantic Canada. The videos are also available in French. Another video to be aired in the coming weeks is a destination employment video interview of Philippe Mondor, President of Tourism HR Canada, and Susie Grenell, President of the Hotel Association of Canada. There has been sponsored destination employment adverts on social media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook, regular destination employment program updates and THRC's Insider publication, destination employment TV adverts on the New Canadians TV, Omni TV, which is currently airing. With the newcomer engagement, we have also created a Facebook page for destination employment where we can post stories and materials related to the program. Additionally, we created a Facebook alumni page for destination employment. The idea of the page is to have a platform where graduates of the program can interact and network with graduates from other regions. The platform would also be used to share stories, job postings, ideas, and may also serve as a mentorship avenue in the near future. We also hosted a New Canadian TV live webinar for stakeholders where we had 150 participants attend the session. With website engagements, we have created a dedicated destination employment website with 81,000 direct reach, 200,000 impressions, and 1,412 clicks. Finally, with our hospitality essentials, we have made 29,000 direct reach, 86,500 impressions, and 256 engagements. Destination Employment Program is also advertised on all regional delivery partner websites. I should mention that the successes of destination employment are multi-layered and cuts across various players who have participated in the delivery of the program regionally and nationally. The quick wins and long-term gains of the program can be attributed to the dedication of all stakeholders who have worked collaboratively to achieve the outcomes of the project. This slide shows how THRC has worked with project stakeholders to achieve these results. We partnered with HAC and the regional delivery partners. Regional delivery partners then partnered directly with SPOs to deliver training and hotel employers for work placement and employment opportunities. As we have had good stories to tell with destination employment, we also experienced some challenges as we deliver the program across the regions. We have had challenges retaining newcomers due to the wage competitiveness with other sectors. We experienced cases where program graduates left their hotel jobs to take up non-related sector jobs. The program experienced challenges recruiting newcomers, which may be connected to interest, perception of the industry in relation to growth and career advancement, and the fear of joining destination employment, could hinder them from benefiting from other government-funded programs. In the area of program delivery, we experienced some challenges such as timing of pre-employment training cycles, not aligning with employer demand for new hires, low uptakes for mentorship sessions across the regions, conflicting government-funded programs for newcomers in some regions. COVID-19 also played a huge impact. In-person classes were cancelled nationally, making partners convert to online delivery. As the situation improved, partners commenced delivering blended trainings. Our better partner disengaged from the program due to operational challenges when the pandemic hit. Industry-wide job losses with limited employment opportunities across the regions, which left many newcomers unemployed. Hotel businesses too were hit badly. Businesses were shut down, and the ones opened were in single-digit occupancy. I'd like to conclude my part of the presentation by leaving you with a short 1 minute video on the testimonial of program participants within that have actually that actually went through our program.
Destination employment is really important because it sets up the applicants for success. A lot of times we'll have workers come in with no support system. We can train certain skills, how to clean a room, how to make a bed, how to answer a phone, but it's how to interact with guests, how to show empathy, how to listen. Those are things that are harder to teach and train for.
This is where these programs like Destination Employment are really helpful. They educate employers on the opportunity and the resources that are available.
Rather than focusing on what we don't have, we were taught how to focus on those key essential elements, key essential skill sets that we bring to the table.
It gave us more broad knowledge of the hospitality industry actually.
They just there to guide you and give you mentorship and whatever you need.
My hopes for the future is I want to be somebody very successful in the hotel industry, own my own hotel and stuff like that, yeah.
Thank you, Olu, for sharing a comprehensive overview of the Destination Employment Program, and with all of these inspiring stories as well. Hello, everyone. My name is Jasmine Chi. I'm also the Program and Project Manager at Tourism HR Canada. Before joining Tourism HR Canada last year, I spent over 7 years in working with immigrant talent force in employment counseling, career development, and mentorship and volunteer management support within the service providing organizations. I'd like to take the following time to walk you through why we emphasize the importance of immigrant workforce for tourism future recovery. Before we dive into the immigrant workforce, let's take a look at the employment projection within tourism sector. The source from Conference Board of Canada indicates that the average number of annual jobs in tourism sector is increasing yearly in spite of COVID's impact. The chart on your left side shows the average annual jobs supported by the tourism sector between 2022 to 2025. The chart isolates the impact of COVID on net annual projections from 2022 to 2025 is positioned on your right side, which is relative to the pre-COVID estimates. Overall, it is projected that employment in the tourism sector will rebound to 2019 level by 2023. However, some industries like accommodation are projected to take an extra year. Tourism is the hardest hit by COVID-19. Both the employers and employees are concerned about their businesses and their job future viability. A people-centric sector, most tourist jobs require face-to-face contact with customers and with their employees. In light of this, it was really the time to assess how COVID has affected Canadians' perceptions of tourism as an industry and also as a place of employment in Canada. Ledger conducted a web survey of 5,055 Canadians on behalf of Tourism HR Canada, run from November 6 to November 29, 2020. The sampling included representation from key target audiences of young people, Indigenous people, visible minorities, and new immigrants who have been living in Canada for less than 5 years. Among these respondents, 20% of them had worked in tourism sector in the past, and 6% were currently working in the tourism sector. So let's dive into some details of the questionnaires to see how they perceive tourism as a place of work and as an industry. Speaking of the impact of COVID on working in tourism, you can see 50% of respondents noted that they have a negative view of the tourism industry, with 39% indicating that it's more negative now than it was before the COVID. Interestingly enough, respondents who have worked in tourism were significantly more likely to indicate that their view of the industry is more negative now. Speaking of desire to work in the tourism industry, COVID-19 has really had a severely negative impact on workers' perceptions of working in this industry. People have less desire to work, and respondents indicate that COVID has negatively impacted their personal feeling about comfort of working in the industry, their personal health and safety, and they even feel not secure working in the tourism sector. Speaking of the perceptions of employment in the tourism industry, unfortunately, only 1/3 of respondents agree that working in the tourism industry is an excellent opportunity for those who lost their jobs due to COVID-19. People have fears of contacting others they don't know due to risks of COVID. Even though Canadians believe that tourism is important to the country's economic recovery, they are less likely to believe that tourism will provide an opportunity for personal recovery. We really need to consider this when we think about our labor force challenge. Another challenge with the tourism labor force is the shrinking of the workforce. January 2021 is the 5th month in a row in which the tourism labor force declined. On average, January tourism employment decreased only by 1% over the past 20 years. However, this year's January, the employment decreased of 8.6%, continues a 4-month trend of employment losses. These losses are the combination of employment decreases and a decline in the number of unemployed workers. It is also possible that those workers are moving to other industries where they could find better opportunities. This is really a concern for us when travel is permitted again, as businesses may be unable to reopen because lack of staff. The slides above show impending challenges when the sector seeks to restart and restaff. The potential labor force shortfall will absolutely limit the industry's ability to meet the initial surge of demand and moving forward. This will act as a brake on tourism growth rate. How could the tourism sector attract talents? Where do the business find the talents with positive perceptions of working in this sector? So in the survey of ledgers assessing perceptions of tourism as a place of employment in Canada, we could find some positive news. New immigrants were significantly more likely to have worked in tourism as a result of the positive perception, accounting for 23% of responses. When they were asked the reasons why they have never been working in tourism sector, 18% of new immigrants know little about the industry, and 13% of them are not aware of career progression paths. This being said, we still have opportunity to educate new immigrants about the tourism sector and the different jobs existing in the tourism sector and its potential career growth. Not surprisingly, 24% of overall participants mentioned that the lower pay and the lower competitive wages will hinder them to join the workforce in the tourism sector. Not surprisingly, higher pay was significantly more important for visible minorities and new immigrants when considering their willingness to work in the tourism sector. Speaking of the perceptions of the tourism industry as a place of employment, 51 new immigrants more likely to agree that a career in tourism is attractive. And 50% of new immigrants more agree that tourism is a good way for them to enter the Canadian labor market. 43% of new immigrants, regardless of whether they had worked in tourism or not, view tourism jobs as an excellent career opportunity. And we have 36% of visible minorities and new immigrants. They agree that they would like pursue a full-time career in tourism. And 24% of new immigrants would like to pursue a temporary career in tourism. Speaking of if they would like to recommend a career in tourism to others, 58% of immigrants are significantly more likely to recommend the career in tourism sector. And the desirability of careers in tourism, the research also shows that visible minority and new immigrants reported significantly greater interest across all careers, both prior to and post COVID-19. So hopefully these figures could give us a more prosperous view of the tourism sector, especially the perceptions of immigrants, how they view the jobs and careers in the tourism sector. Although immigrants and visible minorities demonstrate greater interest and positive perceptions, we really need to take an intersectional approach to assess the COVID's impact on them, to establish an equitable system to attract and retain immigrant talents. So that's why I really would like to emphasize the unique barriers and challenges immigrants are facing post and within the pandemic. The financial impact. Racialized people are more likely to have precarious jobs or lower paying jobs, and they experience more job losses and loss of hours caused by COVID. These interruptions make severe impacts on their financial security compared with the white population. They normally have higher levels of economic concern than their Canadian-born counterparts. Moreover, high poverty rates among most visible minority groups prior to the COVID-19 pandemic make them even more vulnerable to the financial impact of work disruptions. Speaking of employment and labor market, according to the data released by Labor Market Information Council, employment dropped for landed immigrants at nearly twice the rate of their Canadian-born counterparts. From February to April 2020, employment declined by 16% for landed immigrants and by 11% for those born in Canada. Data from July 2020 shows that among prime-aged workers, Canadian-born workers have recovered 72% of job losses in March and April, while only 40% recovery for landed immigrants, and only 32% recovery rate for immigrant women. Speaking of the immigrant women, who are members of two diverse groups, are facing more prominent economic and social challenges than those of other groups. We really need to take an intersectional approach when we assess the COVID's impact. Recent data from the Labor Force Survey showing that among all workers, female immigrants suffered the worst job loss during the peak of the pandemic and the slowest recovery since then. Studies showing that women are more likely to engage in precarious or part-time work, which has led to higher rates of job loss and loss of income during the pandemic. As we know, the larger representation in accommodation and food service sectors are women, especially racialized women. And meanwhile, women constitute 70% of healthcare and social services staff worldwide and are overrepresented in frontline work as a whole. In the Canadian context, 56% of women workers are working in the essential services. And these workers, the occupations they work, don't provide them the opportunity to work from home. And the increasing care responsibilities predominantly fall on women's shoulders, and especially for newcomer immigrants. For example, newcomer immigrants, normally they immigrated to another country with their small family members. They don't have extended family support. If they have appointments, or they couldn't drop their kids to their parents' home or their siblings because they are not here. So that's definitely make more challenging for them to balance the work and life. The social impact is also another element we really need to consider. Studies report a higher burden of chronic disease among racial and ethnic groups. A number of risk factors from biological to social and environmental underpin these differences and place the ethnic groups on more severe risks. Further, the assumption that COVID belongs to or was caused by a race of group has led to increased stigma, discrimination, and even violence. There is no surprise. Recently, we hear some of the violent story on the TV. And overcrowding, precarious housing, and living in shelters make self-isolation especially hard for poor and minority populations who may be unable to access the resources and also who don't have the opportunity and capacity to practice quarantine or social distancing. These are the impacts COVID-19 brought to immigrants as unique barriers. The labor market downturn not only costs jobs, they also adversely impact high productivity employer-employee matches and the new reality of tourism in the aftermath of COVID-19, including different travel patterns, revised growth scenarios, new products and services really require skill upgrading and cross-training to build a skilled, flexible, and resilient workforce. That's why I'd like to introduce a new program we are planning to improve employment outcomes for immigrants in the tourism during economic recovery. Based on the analysis of future tourism skills required and our comprehensive understanding of immigrants and their challenges in overcoming COVID, we aim to support 1,000 immigrants in upskilling and increasing employability within tourism by connecting them with employers. 65% of participants will be immigrant women. If our proposals get approved for IRCC, we hopefully could roll out this program to support more immigrants get back to the workforce. So this proposed program will take an innovative and multifaceted approach to facilitate robust partnership that prepare immigrants, especially immigrant women, to be ready to enter into the future workforce, as well as to address the tourism recovery's challenge, the short of labor force. And this program will contain multi-layered training, mentorship and alumni support, employment connection and networking through building and strengthening great partnerships. The multi-layered training we plan to include 3 parts of the training: the tourism-specific transferable skills training, workplace language training, and self-care and mental health wellness training. And speaking the mentorship support, we would like to utilize the destination employment alumni's strength and expertise as culture guide, and also connect the new participants with mentors, individual mentors within the sector. And we will also establish a structured peer support conversation for the immigrant women. And we will connect each of the participants with employers and employment opportunities through one-on-one individual contact, networking events, and even job opportunities. And we'd like to organize annual cultural exchange events to bring all the stakeholders together to share best practices. And in the meantime, we will work with the employers on intercultural competencies, diversity, and inclusion with the immigrant lens. So you may ask the question, or you may wondering, oh, what's the difference between this new proposed program and the current destination employment? So when we think about this new program, we really would like to tackle the following aspects. So the new program is really focused on building more strategic partnerships. And within the new program, Tourism HR Canada will become a connector to unite all levels of stakeholders together. So each stakeholder could utilize their unique strength and expertise. And this program is aimed to expand to all the industries within tourism sector across the whole Canadian regions. We will revamp the training based on the future skills required within the tourism sector, and also consider immigrants' needs, such as the self-care and wellness is a very essential part, especially for vulnerable population. And we will connect participants with employers through versatile opportunities, not only focus on job opportunities. So that could be enlarged into different aspects. This new program will target support immigrant women, and we would like to involve evaluators in the beginning to design a robust evaluation questionnaires and system. And we will definitely strengthen the mentorship as an independent program, not only include training. It's more like we would like to establish a comprehensive mentorship framework to support delivery partners implement the mentorship program. And the last but not the least, I really would like to emphasize collaboration, collaboration, and collaboration. So to tackle the labor force shortage and build an inclusive response strategy for the tourism sector, it needs the collaboration from all stakeholders, taking a holistic approach where we work as a team rather than in our own silo. And the rapid changing of the industry and its environment requires us to look forward rather than look backward. The successful actions we took in the past may not be effective for now and for the future. Because the labor force is changing, the skills required is updating, and the environment is shifting rapidly. Thus, we need to disrupt our ideas to generate more innovative solutions. To embrace the rapid change, we need to unite as a whole with all levels of stakeholders to utilize their unique strengths, and together we could maximize the outcome we dream to achieve for the sector, for each employer and every single individual who has a dream in the tourism sector. This slide wrap up our PowerPoint presentation, and thank you for your time. And I would like to direct you to the chat room. There is a link. So we do have some questions for you, and we are looking forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you.